Hello! Welcome to the Libri Labra book club. This afternoon we will be talking about... What are we talking about? Hold on. The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker. I'll have to double check the poll to find out what we're reading next month. I think I know. But so we will be giving our initial thoughts, and then as we dive deeper, we will be getting spoilery. So if you haven't read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, go away, read the book, come back, and we'll still be here. So this was a book that I had selected, and I had an advanced reader's copy of it. And really, my selections this year are all going to be about reading books that I already have, just books that are on my shelf. I'm probably going to be selecting books I may be like the least in the mood to read, just because.
Let's get them out the way.
I like that it kind of forces me to read those books, because if not, I'll just be like, maybe next time. And so
Make them fight for it.
Those books are also like stuff that isn't necessarily like things that I've obsessed about or really thought about. So I think gives me an opportunity to have the least amount of expectations about them. And that also means that I usually enjoy them more. So this one in particular sounded interesting just because I'm very much into dreams and dreaming and stuff like that. I don't think it was necessarily what I was expecting, but I definitely thought it was interesting.
I liked it.
You want to share your initial thoughts outside of
again, as one of those that I had no idea what I was getting into. So I read nothing about it. I knew nothing about it, and I just dove in. And it's all right. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more towards the end whenever things started like clicking, and I was like, oh, that's what happened. But yeah.
So I had heard about it, and I had already had it before I saw Books and Lala, which is another booktuber, talking about it because she really liked it. But my impression was that it was just going to be like each chapter was a different story about the different people in this town. So I didn't expect them to overlap and connect the way that they did. So I'm glad that that was the case.
Agreed.
Tom, what are your initial thoughts?
I had a hard time with this at first, and then I had less of a hard time with it. And all through it, I was like, am I going to give this a 1 or a 2? And fortunately, it redeemed itself toward the end. That's where the payoff is. Holy freaking wow, what a choice of narrative voice for this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think I'm super clear on different writing perspectives, but would you say this is like third person omniscient? Is that what they would call it? Is that accurate?
I would think so, but this is like very removed narration too. It's very distant.
Yeah, definitely third person.
It's almost like you're watching Sim City, and it's like, oh, the little thing's moving
this is
around.
What's going on over here. This is what's going on over here. This is what's going on over here. Yeah, I get it. That's a good. I like that.
I wish I could take credit, but that was from a Courtney Barnett song. But anyway, go ahead.
So for anybody that doesn't know what The Dreamers is about, it's about this town in California. What's it called again?
Santa Laura.
Santa Laura. And the town is kind of taken over slowly by this sleeping sickness. And they're not really sure how it's spreading or how people are getting it, and little by little the town and its people start to get quarantined, and it gets really frightening. I couldn't help but imagine what was that second thing to The Walking Dead? They made like a spin-off for it.
Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah, that. It kind of reminded me of that, because like Fear of the Walking Dead was showing you like as the disease started to take over and how things began falling apart and the quarantine and all that other stuff. So it kind of made me think a little bit of that. But it's just really scary. Everything about it is really scary.
Indeed. There's definitely a lot of anxiety in this one.
So I don't even know if I know. There's reading guide in here. I don't even know if I know like where to begin with
All right, so this is where we have to
discussing
say,
this.
spoiler alert, we're going to go deeper
Yeah,
now.
we're gonna
So,
dive deeper now.
like Inception.
So, I mean, I think one of the things that was, and I know that it's supposed to be open-ended. It's kind of supposed to leave you with questions and not necessarily answer everything. But the idea of some of the people that were dreaming kind of having this clairvoyance.
Mm-hmm.
There were threads in there of things that I definitely already believed, but she didn't play it up too much. Like, for example, she does mention the collective unconscious.
Mm.
And
I'll be right back. I'm going to take care of this meowing cat.
so she mentions the collective unconscious. And for me, like, dreams are a way to tap into that. And I feel like I have had prophetic dreams. And there's definitely different layers to what dreams feel like. Some you don't know you're dreaming. For me, some are like more clear than waking life. And so I think she sprinkled a very tiny bit of that. Mm-hmm. But what were your thoughts on, let's say, what was the dad's name?
Did we even get his name?
I don't know. Well, actually, yeah.
But I don't remember. I don't remember what it was.
I don't know if it was like Thomas. Yeah, I think it might have been.
Hey.
He had this feeling of like things happening out of order, or feeling like he knew what the future was. And
I would say his storyline kind of pointed to like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like they hinted at it, but they never actually said who set that fire.
Right.
But right beforehand, his daughter walks on and him.
Right. Just
with
like
the matches, just striking a match, and he was talking about it a lot. And then,
well, because he kept asking them, "Was there a fire in the library? Was there a fire in the library?"
He was like, "Well, I dreamed there was a fire, and everybody woke up." So he went and created the fire, thinking he was saving lives.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But in my dream, everybody lived. That's not the case. I like the idea that I really think this book was more about the like really about perception, and the fact that like all those who went into the sleep state kind of went into their own version of life, and things happened to them, and they saw things happen. They did different things, like a variation of what life actually was, and then they woke up into something a little bit different. Or some of them didn't live. Some of them, I'm wondering if the ones that died
were the ones that don't dream.
No, they died in their dreams. But we never actually got a glimpse into the reason why each, because there's a certain number of them did die, but a lot of them did not. They just got the sickness, they slept, they dreamed, and they were all significantly changed. Their brain patterns were different after they woke up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, Tom, did you want to comment on any of that?
I'm not sure. I think with the dreams and such, it goes to show, it's I guess what is memory, and what is actually real.
Right.
Do our memories map to something real, or is it something that we just imagine? And is there a difference between them? Because I think
Matthew brings that up a few times.
Yeah, she says that, the theory that there are infinite universes with infinite timelines with all of the choices being taken. And you just happen to be in this one where you took these particular choices. But in the dream, you could say, well, now they're seeing another choice that was made in their life.
I mean, like, I guess there is no difference in our brain. Like, our brain is just kind of taking in information, and for the most part usually processes it the same way in our dreams as when we're sleeping.
And it's not even like
as when we're awake.
It's not a ROM. It's a random access memory. So things can be grabbed and pulled from different places and put together differently. Like nobody really actually ever remembers something identically the way it happens.
Very true.
So what's to say that our brains actually don't have like some sort of connection with that deeper consciousness, and is only like literally playing a single track, and then some, in our dreams we can see that other track. Is that what you're saying earlier?
Yeah. It's like when, I forget what the girl's name was, Rebecca.
Yep.
Yeah, when she woke up, she had a dream that she had a son, or was it vice versa?
It was
No.
the same.
Yeah,
she
She
had
dreamt
the
of
son,
the son.
but in real life she has a daughter.
I was really intrigued by the idea that she woke up from a dream that she had an entire life. She was the one that slept the longest, and she slept through an entire pregnancy, not even knowing that she was pregnant when she went to sleep.
Yes.
And that's pretty crazy.
And then she wakes up from a life, like back into another life. And that's kind of one of the things that Matthew had brought up, is like, what's to say that what we're doing right now isn't dreaming?
Right.
Right.
And then we're going to wake up and be like, what was that other life that I just, what? Matrix?
Yeah, Matrix is the one that comes to mind.
And so obviously I only know what's in my own mind, so I can't speak for anyone else. But for me, those lines are very blurry.
Yeah, I don't know how many times she woke up in the morning mad at me for something I didn't do. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's going on right now? And she's just like an emotional mess. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Especially when we use language to talk
sleeping.
about, and she said it plenty of times in the book, delusions are basically not being able to identify
the difference.
And to me, I tell him all the time, I'm like, that's a huge fear of mine. And I've had dreams so vivid that I'm like, no, I swear it happened. And that's so frightening to me. So for Rebecca, who didn't just have like a son in her dream, she like lived out a lifetime with him, very similar to Inception, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she does say that Rebecca was like I guess the prime carrier, and the disease affected her the most out of everybody in the dorm.
Oh, they did bring that up, that there was a super carrier, like someone who actually would actually infect more people than others would. Yeah. And she said her entire family slept, but nowhere near as long as Rebecca did, and they all woke up.
I don't think they ever...
May didn't wake up.
May didn't wake up.
Thomas killed her.
Well, what was really sad
Yeah, but something else happened with May, too, remember? Something didn't happen.
Right. So the really sad thing about May was that Matthew, instead of looking for her, went to look for the baby.
He saved the baby.
Yep. And I feel like that, honestly, that was the most heartbreaking part of the book for me.
Yeah.
I felt like.
Knowing that what he had said previously kind of actually played out. Because he was like, if I was drowning and there was two strangers and you could save them or me, who would it be? And she was like, you. And he's like, love is stupid. You're stupid. But
uncharacteristically, he chose the person that he did not know.
Right.
The person
I had the most life left to live.
Well, he was making very logical decisions. Yeah, right. Exactly.
But that's not, So.
And I would definitely hate to ever be in those kinds of situations, to have to make those tough decisions. But I don't know. I feel like I would probably pick you.
Well, that's a matter of emotion versus logic.
No, I know.
So you'd probably be so much into what's going on that you're thinking about me because of your emotions, and you probably don't even have time to think, well, if I don't save him, I could save somebody whose life is worth more. Like nobody's going to actually stop to think about what's going on. They're just going to act.
Right.
So, fucking Matt.
We should have an end of the world conversation at some point. Just so we understand each other's expectations. if anything happens.
Right.
I don't know. Every time she's talking about zombies, she's all like, I know I'm not gonna make it. Just go. And I'm like, that's not. No, it's no. No.
Mhm.
I feel like you'd be the person to be like, we'll both go together.
Yeah. And I die with you.
Yes, I know.
He shoots you in the leg, and then
man with a nine cal. Was it a .9 caliber pistol survives a bear attack. His friend he shot in the knee.
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't fare so well.
So well, yeah.
What I didn't understand, like even like in the very beginning, I forget her name. I think it was May's roommate.
Kara.
Yeah. Why did she die?
She was the first
She was
known subject, but she didn't. But there was no information given on her, how she got it, where it came from. It was just that she was the where it started. It was to start the story, and for it to spread from there, and also bring May into the picture.
I'm surprised, because when you watch movies, when weird stuff like that, there's usually a little bit more in regards to an explanation of who is affected and who's not, and why. Some weird genes, some people have immunity, like
Not
things
always.
like that.
Well, they premised it at the beginning with the fact that sometime like 400, 500 years ago that, there was a small colony that ended up having this problem happen, and then there was no known cases of it since. Mm-hmm. And then it just all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere. And then they played off of that later when there was a small bit about a fisherman that went on his boat out into the water with his dog. And then the boat was to be never be seen again because he fell asleep in it and they sank. And how many years later that they found out that after the lake had dried up that boat was found, and it could have come back at that point. Like they brought up the fact that these random things in life can still happen, and yet nobody knows like where it comes from, what's coming out of it. Who knows who's gonna go? If they dig up that boat and then it just happens again for another brief spell.
Right. I mean, well,
mm-hmm.
And then I guess you could think of like the ice melting and whatever kind of crazy diseases
they're talking
we
about
have,
crazy bacteria coming out of that right
yeah.
now. Stuff that haven't been seen or heard of in millions of years.
Mm-hmm.
That could wipe us out. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But sorry. So as she was like, I don't know. I still think it's interesting that I feel like she put a lot of dream references that may not have been picked up by a lot of people. Like she does talk about that universal consciousness, and I do believe that we access that through our dreams. And then
like the Thunderhead.
She also
a universal human consciousness, not
right.
one that we've created.
And
What's
then
the difference?
I don't remember who the character was. I think it might have been May.
Just spit it out. I can't tell you who it is until I know what you're talking about.
But like, I think there was like a whole chapter where someone was dealing with sleep paralysis, where they were talking about this looming figure, and
no, they had locked-in syndrome. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, it sounded more like sleep paralysis to me.
Okay, wait a minute. Maybe I'm confusing something. What are you talking? What is sleep paralysis to you then?
Because locked-in syndrome is actually like a condition. It's where you're like your body is paralyzed, but you're conscious and you still can see and hear and experience.
Well, she was still experiencing things, but she was sleeping. Well, but her conscious, like she was like half and half.
Well, my point is that like sleep paralysis has to do with sleep, whereas locked-in syndrome can happen to anyone at any time, and it's not necessarily about sleep.
I mean, they compared it to locked-in syndrome, so I don't know. I can see the difference you're telling me, but I think they're the same thing. It's just a matter of how much consciousness you have in it.
Okay. Have you never experienced sleep paralysis before?
I guess not.
Okay.
It may be just a description of the way you get to locked-in syndrome, in the sense that, if you're getting in a car crash and you're in a coma and you're locked in, how's that different? You know what I mean?
It's just a matter
The end
of
result's
where
the
your
same.
consciousness is. Is it
Yeah.
on or off?
Right.
But I guess having experienced sleep paralysis, there is this. It really feel, even though there's nothing there, it does feel like there's an entity or something like dark looming over you. Like it feels like a thing, a spirit, a demon, a something, like a black cloud that's weighing on you.
It's not one of your cats, right?
No, and it's like, and it's very scary. Like it just feels like a ball of negativity.
So maybe that is because she did. That's exactly how they described it when she started feeling that, when she started going under. So maybe the author is trying. It really is about that perception, because maybe all those people felt that, but nobody could actually see it. But because it was described through May's character,
Right.
But then there's some of those who actually went into a deep sleep, like Nathaniel. We didn't know he was sleeping when they started talking about Henry coming out of his stupor.
Right.
So we didn't know that was a dream until after the fact, after the kids found Nathaniel on his bed.
Right.
In a flooded house. That's what I thought. That's one of the things that I really liked the narrative of this book, because it was like she described this whole freaking experience, and then you find out that that character fell asleep a while ago, and I was like, oh, that was good. I like that. So,
well, I mean, I think specifically when we're talking about Nathaniel, she did like an excellent job of describing kind of the average person having a dream. Like, in order to be able to dream lucidly and control your dreams, you have to be able to acknowledge that you're having them. And to get to that point, you need to be able to ask questions in your dream and say, there's something off about this. This doesn't feel completely right. Like, you have to be able to identify those little triggers to just be like, oh, so-and-so is not alive anymore. How are they talking to me? Or, like, whatever, any of those things, you have to be able to stop in the dream to acknowledge those.
Henry hasn't had a conscious thought for himself in this many years. How's it happening now?
Right. So he was definitely here? Like,
yeah. That's that, again. There's little nuances in this book that I really loved. There was something else I wanted to point out too, but if I remember it, I'll bring it up. But right now, I'm just like, what was it? What was it? Oh, the fact that at the end of the book that Nathaniel was trying to take Henry to actually reproduce that dreamlike state so that they can actually live in their own minds. Like, if your body can't function enough to do what, to be here, let's just go into your mind and see what. And I was like, what?
Aren't they like working on something?
That was some Inception shit too.
Yeah, but besides being in Inception,
I was thinking Black Mirror, but anyway.
Oh, we didn't watch Black Mirror. Not all.
You should.
One episode.
We watched the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
I thought I read something somewhere about like Dream VR or something weird that they were working on.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's some. What was that movie? Stir of Echoes. The Kevin Bacon shit where they were putting themselves to sleep in order to experience something else.
That wasn't Stir of Echoes. That was Flatliners.
That's it. Fucking Kevin Bacon movies. There's so many.
What did you think about like Sarah and Libby? Did they say their ages? I don't think I remember what their ages were.
They're like 10 and 13 or somewhere around there, I think.
Okay, so Libby was the older one?
11 and...
Yeah, somewhere around there. 14, maybe. 13.
Sarah was the older one, Libby was the younger, right?
And it was Libby that fell asleep?
Yes.
Okay. And I feel like there were a lot of animals in this story.
Liddy loved the cats.
Right, but
and then they picked up
the 2 dogs.
what was the first dog? Because one of the dogs was Akil's, yeah.
Yeah, Akil's. It was the first one.
And the other dog they just found somewhere and they took it in.
Oh, was it the same dog that was running around on a leash previously that May and Matthew had come across? Because there was a mention of a dog running through the streets and doing things, and it had a leash still attached, and they were what may have happened to the owner of that dog?
Right.
So the person could have just fallen flat, and the dog's just wandering now.
So did the sickness
That's crazy.
not affect any of the animals in the town?
Apparently not. I mean,
they were worried about it being
transmitted by them, though.
Right.
They could still carry germs around.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you sneeze on the dog and I'm all like, oh, I might, I'm gonna get sick. But yeah, her love for the kittens was kind of like, I was actually worried that there was something gonna happen with the animals, or I'm actually wondering if the kittens is how she ended up getting sick, because she chased the kitten away and was able to went out of the yard to get a cat and come back in.
Oh, I assumed it was the dog, because it was like shortly after they took in the dog that unless that was like a red herring where they wanted you to think that Libby had fallen asleep, but she hadn't fallen asleep yet.
Sarah, there was a point where Sarah had fallen asleep and Libby tried to wake her up, and then she woke up and Libby was like freaking out and then started laughing about it. And the irony in that whole situation is that it turned the tables, and then she ended up being the problem. But yeah, again, like I said about those nuances, like there's so many things and I do like the fact that literally is an entire web of everything that happened in this small town. Everybody was connected somehow. The breast milk coming from the hospital playing a part in Annie, Ben, and Grace. Like, dude, so much of the story around that baby was like, what are you doing to me?
I feel like I might have missed that part. What happened with the baby?
The baby ended up. Ben took the baby to the library where Annie was sleeping. And then he had I think there's at some point, did he fall asleep, or did he fall asleep at all?
I think he did. Because
so
he said that
everybody ended up sleeping, but because Matthew pulled the baby out of the library fire.
I don't know why I forgot that. Right. Because I know that Ben had said that he kept having dreams, and the dreams didn't include the baby, and he was like, why? Why is she not in the dreams? That's the one thing that's missing. So.
Yeah, when that realization happened, I was like, no! What are you doing?
Double down on that then and see where it goes.
Yeah, right. Now, that when he was like dreaming that he saw Annie get up and, or he saw Annie move, was that his dream or was that reality? Because actuality is...
it was in the that he was predicting the future, but Annie said, no, that actually happened. That was back here.
Yeah.
Back there. So...
Oh, I thought there was a reading guide in here, but it looks like it's, even though they called it a reading guide, it's an interview with the author.
Well, it's not quite the same thing.
No, it's not.
Just throwing that out there.
Supposed to have a reading guide in it when it's officially published. Did you read it and listen to it, Tom?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel like audiobook was a good...
Oh, it was great.
The narration matched the text quite well. In a sense, I would not be surprised if the narration was ASMR.
Yeah, I was going to say that I listened to it at 1.2 and then 1.5 at some point, but the fact that it was still she still had this airy, dreamy feel to it, even though I was listening to it at faster speeds. It doesn't
narrator
matter.
did a really good job.
It was like I was surprised I didn't fall asleep listening to it, but I was driving most of the time, so that kind of kept me from doing
That's
that.
good.
But yeah, it was just the narrator had an airy, dreamy bedtime story type voice during the entire thing. And even the fact that it was still noticeable at an accelerated speed is impressive.
Right. And somewhat flat narration, too, which goes along with that distant.
That distant.
Yeah, yeah. So they have the really good narrator for the book, I thought.
Can we, I'm going to look up who that is real quick so we can give them some credit.
Tell you.
Oh, you have it?
I could look it up in Scribd. She is actually, I recognize her voice. She is the same person. Crap, where is this information? I read a book called The Mermaid by Christina Henry, and she also narrated that. Okay, about book. Narrated by Cassandra Campbell.
I should have known that name. I've heard her say it 3 times. So, awesome job, Cassandra. Beautiful.
Can you see this as a movie? Do you think it would be a difficult movie to create?
I'll let you answer that first, Tom.
I don't think it would be. Well, in its original tone, probably not. But making it a thriller, I could certainly see it being that.
Changing it up a little bit, maybe. I don't see anybody getting the same experience out of it if
it was made a movie.
Yeah, if you made it into a movie, it would be kind of like the difference between reading Bird Box and then watching the movie. Like, I don't feel like I got the same experience out of Bird Box as I did by reading the book. Like, wholeheartedly, completely different, because you got to change it for the media. It's just, it will not be the same, unless Cassandra narrates half of it.
Well, I guess if you're watching the movie, it wouldn't have that same distance.
I mean,
that's what I mean. Yeah, it'd probably be more of a thriller than anything else. The story would be the same.
Thinking of it from a direction and producing perspective, though, it would be a fun, interesting attempt at that, though, because you can take the film and every bit of the footage and actually kind of like dull it a little bit, and maybe even move back on the camera and have it from a different perspective. Not like you're following the characters around, but actually watching what they're doing, like Sims, like you said, just not nearly as distant.
Right.
So it could actually have that quality to it, but there are certain descriptions and depictions that you wouldn't be able to get film-wise.
Right.
But the dream sequences and going from scene to scene and then realizing those are dreams, that would be a great a film, the thing to do in film.
Yes.
And like, it hasn't, I mean, we know it's all been done already, but just saying, like, when you go in through the scene of Nathaniel being all like, well, this isn't, Henry's talking again. Oh man, this is amazing. What's, and then realizing they find him on the bed later. It would be good. I would say it'd be worth
I feel like that would be a difficult part,
attempt,
though, to like show his questioning. Like, you'd really have to draw attention to certain things to get the audience to be like, wait, but Henry wasn't talking, or like you'd have to make very distinct points.
Well, you'd have to have more of the story ahead of time, and that wasn't really given. But it would be a great attempt if they got a really good director to do it. I would watch it.
What do you think of the writing itself? Did you like it? Did you think it was poetic? Did you think it was cumbersome? Did it?
I'd say it fit the narrative that she was trying to tell. I mean, it was well written.
Very.
But the tone, the distant tone, it's like made it kind of a slog for me. It's like, oh God, one more page till the end. Another page.
Well, I could see being like that at the beginning of the book, but whenever things
Yeah.
actually started getting and clicking and
Mhm.
fitting into place, like
Right.
Tetris pieces, it was just like I actually got to where I was
Oh, no.
like, let me go back to that book. Hang on, I got a little bit left. This should be good.
Mhm.
I actually expected more a better outcome out of it as I progressed.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
I mean, everybody didn't wake up, but I'm glad that some people did.
Right.
I don't know. I thought like I guess I was expecting like the whole town to just go to sleep and that to go black and like there'd be no answers. So I'm glad.
Whoa! let's put on Matthew's tin hat real quick. And what if that California fire that leveled the entire city wasn't really a campfire?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
That there was some fucking government cover up. That some shit happened over there and they just torched it like in 1839. Ooh, let's not think about that.
Did they even like drop any hints to why the fire would have been connected with them waking up?
I really think it had to do with consciousness. Like whenever you're in a burning building, most people do wake up from the smell of smoke or something going on. But I really think it's just and some people do just sleep through it and die from lack of oxygen, like May. Poor May. She fell in love with the boy and then he didn't save her.
It's a mean boy.
He's a hero. Not to me.
I feel like I had another question.
Well, before we get away from the fire, I did like the idea that there was a hint of an outdoor fire before he passed out, and then when he woke up, going, "What about the fire? What happened? What's going on?" And they're all like, "What are you talking about?" Like the brush fire. Like nobody else knew about the brush fire. What was that about?
What do you mean nobody? I mean, what do you mean nobody else knew about the brush
They
fire?
were preparing for a brush fire before he fell asleep. Like they were like multiple times. They explained multiple times.
Oh yeah, there was a fire in the woods.
Yeah, that the kids and their dad prepared for that fire multiple times. They had a routine for when that happened that they packed up and left, and they were about to do that before he fell asleep.
Because I thought when he came back and he was asking about the fire, that's what Sarah had told him, that there was a brush fire. She
right,
was like,
because that was supposed to be the hint of, okay, no, there's no more about the fire. Don't worry about it. It was because before you fell asleep, there was gonna be a fire.
Right.
But he's like, no, the library,
right.
and we're like, what are you talking about? So I think that was supposed to be like what was the red herring was the term you used. And then it actually ended up being like a self-fulfilling prophecy because he was like, well, I'm going to go make the fire then. Weird.
Weird is waking up from a dream and
having a baby?
Probably. But no, I was going to say, him sitting there with the matches and being like, I can see the fire before I light it. Like,
oh, right.
Just that whatever he came back with, whatever sight.
Well, he was like, it did something to my brain.
I wonder what the little writing was about.
It did something to his brain. But they explained that, though. That someone who actually has that miniature type writing actually has some sort of condition. They brought that up. They actually Karen talked about it a little bit.
I just remember like them talking about the journal and then him staying up and writing in it. I don't remember the explanation for it.
That it was also found in other people who have like similar mental disabilities or mental problems that he was having. But what I think is interesting is that the multiple different places that it was it was saying that it changed someone's brain, but what does it say about that character specifically? If he's a completely different person when he comes out, was it because of the dreams he had, or was it because of his mental state before going in?
Well, I remember watching some kind of a documentary or something where they were talking about like lucid dreaming and how, like, let's pretend you don't know how to skateboard or whatever, and you kind of learn to do it in your dream.
Mm-hmm.
That the activity in your brain is pretty much identical as if you had done it in real life.
Right. Oh, it's almost like muscle memory. You've done something so much so often that you don't even think you have to think about it anymore.
Right.
Like it's an opposite part of the spectrum on that. Karen, if there's something I'm missing, please let me know. Because yeah, throw it in the comments. I'm very curious.
We'll call my people. Yeah, we'll do lunch.
So I think the book prior to this was called maybe it was just called Miracles or Little Miracles or something like that. Would you consider reading anything else by this author?
At the moment, no.
Okay.
I would, just because there was so many different things in here that it couldn't have been like there had to have been so much planning in that whole story and how to get everything. There's probably many details that I'm missing here too that I would be willing to read it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could probably do
one note. Just because I don't think it's for me doesn't mean it's a bad book. I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised.
No, I had a hell of a time. I mean, I'm glad there was a little bit of payoff in the end, but there was a long way to get there.
Did you have any expectations going in? Like,
no.
Did you?
Okay. Like John, I just picked up, and then started reading, and here we are.
What's this?
I think it's the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like going in with preconceived notions or anything like that. It's because you go in with somebody else's expectation, you come up with something completely different, and it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. When she was trying to explain to me what was going on, she was like, "Oh, people were complaining that it's so open-ended and blah blah blah." I'm like, after reading it myself, I don't think it's open-ended. I think it was meant to be open going into it, and there's so many perceptions and things that you can pull out of it that it's not even like, I can't even say it's supposed to be an open shut type. What kind of closure are you looking for?
I mean, some people like things completely spelled
I want
out.
to know that they came out with a cure, and I'm like, no, that's not how life works.
Well, hopefully we don't ever have to experience this odd sleeping sickness.
Again, I'm gonna chalk it up to it's all about perception, because everybody's gonna pull something different out of this. And I like the idea that each character had a different experience with each, line or character map, whatever.
All right.
The other thing too is one of the things I liked was how she showed the relation of people to science, in the sense that, like with the students, we want to get out of here, we're going to go on a road trip, and then that just spreads the disease even more. It's like,
that whole bit about the kids running and splitting off, and the fact that it wasn't even like, there wasn't even a drawn out story for each of them. It was like, okay, a few of them did this, they died. A few of them did this, they didn't make it that far. A few of them did this, and then it went back to the May and Matthew part, but gave them more story out of it. They go back to her babysitter's house, and this turns out the babysitters or the family that she babysat for was actually on a cruise, so they're gonna come back to this mess completely like missing it, and it's again there's a little piece. Everybody ended up in a different spot in this whole story.
Yep,
and I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was one of the good parts. Oh look, their daughter is now having the sleeping sickness. Doesn't affect my life, but that's tragedy. Or like for example, with the nurse at the beginning of the book. That lived across the street from the two girls and the father.
The house burned down, and they're all like, "Oh, what happened?" Maybe she just fell asleep and left something on the stove, or
was it a suicide?
And then there's the other nurse that came from San Francisco, San Diego, whatever. She came
to L.A.
Was it L.A.?
I don't know.
The doctor,
Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine. It was one of the other doctors that came in from somewhere else, went back home, and then came back, and she was worried about her daughter the entire time. And that's the, like I said, there's a lot of anxiety in this, and I can see it's insane.
And the daughter was afraid of her when she came back.
Yep.
It was so long.
These things change people. People change people.
I mean, imagine just being somebody on the other side of the country, just like watching it being reported on. Like, that's terrifying.
And again with like the college students, Akil's father.
So about that, did that actually happen, or was that somebody's dream? Because at the end, she was like, "Oh, is your family okay?" And he goes, "Yeah." Whose dream was that? If it was a dream, or did it actually happen? Did his dad actually get shot?
I'd say it actually happened, but that's me.
I don't know.
Again, I'm on the fence about it. I'm not sure if that was somebody's dream, or if his dad is no longer a thing, or because at when Sarah asks him after the fact, he was like, "Oh yeah, my family is fine." Thank you for screwing up my head, Karen.
well, fine in the sense meaning we didn't get the signal, or did they? I don't remember.
No, they did.
I thought they did. Yeah, I thought
their house was marked, and then that's
that's right.
Because
that's right. Yeah, but they got through it though, so they were fine in that sense. But it does answer.
Were they really though? That's what I'm getting at here. What the hell happened?
Well, I don't think I have any more personally to add. So if you want to do final thoughts.
4 stars. Loved it. Can't say it was a completely amazing yet. Let me read it a second time and find the pieces that I missed and be like, "Oh, this is great."
Find that 5th star.
Right, and that's possible.
Find that 5th star in there somewhere.
I can't imagine my returning to it, but who knows?
Right.
Like,
later on,
a
couple years from now, and you're like, "I don't remember this."
Yeah. Oh yes, I do.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I would love to read more books that relate not necessarily to sleeping, but to dreaming. I feel like, I just feel like that's subject matter that doesn't get much attention.
It comes through in your choices for the book club. I'll just say that. We've had a string of, I call it the mental health series. I mean,
we have, haven't we?
Yeah.
I didn't pick all those though.
Really?
I didn't. There was one with the chick, Brain on Fire. I didn't pick that one.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't select that one. I did the other one though. The
What do you mean? As in voted for it, or
no,
put
I
it
didn't.
in the selection list?
Yeah, I didn't make it in the selection.
Okay,
list.
you didn't put it up for vote. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Who did then?
Kelly.
When she was in the club, yes.
Oh, okay. I forgot that happened. Yes. I was like, it's just been the 3 of us forever now. What's going on here? Who did if you didn't?
It's an extra memory. I don't ever, that's the thing.
I dreamed about it.
Yeah.
So I think I did enjoy it. I thought the writing was very nice. I would I didn't do it as I was reading, but I think I would like to go back and highlight certain passages.
Why? She's about actually putting marks in a book. I know you've been doing that recently, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I get it.
Right.
I'll just listen to it.
Yeah, there was just a few lines in a few different places that I thought was very poetic how she was describing what they were experiencing, and so I would give it 4 stars as well.
I would give it 2.5 rounded to 3. So.
If you gave it a 2, between all of us, it would end up. I guess you give it that half mark, huh?
Well, Goodreads doesn't allow halves.
I know.
So that's why I said the actual. If they did, I would give it 2.5. But since it doesn't, I give it a 3. Give the benefit of the doubt.
I almost liked it.
That's true. Because I hated it at the beginning. And then, okay, this isn't so bad. All right, yeah, I'm coming around. But it wasn't.
Feel like right now.
This is a long way to get from
start.
Yeah.
It's just sitting teetering right here.
That accurately describes my experience.
All right, I'm going to just confirm what we're reading.
Red Rising.
Is it? Okay. All right.
Pierce Brown.
So that we have a visual. It seems this is what we're reading for next month.
The book I've already read. Hooray.
Okay, so I guess I'm the only one that hasn't read it yet.
But I'm actually going to go back and revisit it just to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I also read the rest of the series already.
Oh, I have not. So
I have to like find out where that cutoff point, and
it is,
that way I don't talk about spoilers later, because I'm really bad at that. I got yelled
when
at.
His daughter goes, wait, what daughter?
Oh my god. Nah, because this is YA. Mm-hmm. Later on in the series, it's no longer YA, because there's character progression and aging and growth. Or wait, maybe it's not the series. Maybe because I started the next series of the series. There's like a
second trilogy.
Yeah, this is part of a trilogy, and then there's another trilogy that I've already started.
Okay.
That's how much I liked Red Rising. Pierce.
This is a collector's edition.
It's very pretty. It's very glossy. I was trying not to
really pretty
blind people with it.
Triangular.
What's all this mail in here?
Can I raise with her?
Why is there mail? Why is there mail in there?
It had been you, man.
But anyway, the end papers are really pretty.
Okay, we're not talking about him. I mean, he's pretty too.
He's
but
pretty too.
Baby, nice end papers.
Everybody's all like, Pierce Brown. And I'm like, I don't know nothing about it. But now I know his writing.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. So I look forward to jumping into that.
Am I in the hook for next, Paul?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wait, are you? Or is it my turn? No, we just did mine. Yes.
That was
I'm
you.
Confused.
This is me.
Yeah.
Next
so. Yeah.
It's your turn,
so
Tom.
it is me. Okay.
It's your turn, Tom.
Okay, got it.
Don't listen to her.
Don't screw it up.
She's like, it's my turn. I'm like, no.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, for our discussion of The Dreamers by Karen
Thompson Walker.
Thompson Walker.
Sorry, Karen.
And as we've already stated, we will be reading Red Rising next. So I'll make sure to publish the date whenever we schedule it.
Oh, by the way, the narrator for Red Rising is Gerard. I don't know. He's amazing.
Okay.
I liked him.
Okay.
Gerard Butt. No. What the hell? Why am I thinking of that name? That's not the right name at all.
So as a reminder, you can go to the Goodreads. The link will be available in this video description, and you can join us there. You can also join us on camera if you sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/Libri Labra. You get to suggest books for us to vote on, to read. You get a custom bookmark. You get to join the Facebook VIP chat, and there's a few other different perks for joining as a book club VIP member. Was there something you wanted to say?
Tim Gerard Reynolds.
Tim Gerard Reynolds. All right, that's the narrator for Red Rising.
Wasn't that important, but I wanted to get it right.
Okay.
for Tim's sake.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I lost my mouse.